All right, tribe. This is actually going to be take number 2. If you were watching us do this the other day, I'm gonna move my mic in front of us, Joey, so that way it's not too far out of here. I don't want you dominating the conversation.
Hey, don't let me do it.
We recorded this 2 days ago at Joey's house, and our team came back to us the next day and said, "Hey, did you guys know that there's no volume? There's no volume on your deal." And because we were sitting side by side, we had no idea. Like, because normally we're listening to each other, so if somebody's volume was off, we somehow it was like being recorded on Joey's phone or something. So if you were watching that and you were like slamming your phone inside your car or your truck, like, why won't you pick up? It wasn't you, it was us. Like, I'm sorry about that.
Technology failure.
Okay. All right. So this is our passive income report that we do every single month, and we're happy to come to you and share these details by watching live on YouTube or on LinkedIn. You get access to this before it comes out. But we're going to go live on our recording for our podcast so that everyone else can keep up. But we'll share our screen, show you guys what we're doing. We got a couple of different topics we're going to cover. So we're going to do that right now.
Well, by the way, this is the first time that we have dug into your specific questions that people have asked us in the community. Sometimes we do that kind of haphazardly, but today we're actually going to go specifically down the list of about 4 different questions that you've had in the community. If you are not a part of our community, this is a benefit. Go to wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/community and join for free. And go ahead and put that in the chat of the community, what questions you have that we're not covering today, so that in future passive income reports, we can address them.
Yeah, good call. By the way, I'm going to get some of these links up here because I know people have questions. I want to make sure that we have all our links for everybody as we do this.
For sure.
Make this simple. All right, let's go, Stan. You ready? Start this thing off?
Let's do the intro.
All right, podcast team, I promise this is the final time. Let's go. All right, everybody. Today, we're going to be breaking down the things that we learned from our passive income report from November of 2024. We're also going to be answering your questions. You've asked questions both live on the podcast, inside our community, YouTube, and said, hey, I got some questions of you two, and I want you to know that we listen. And we're going to give you some responses. What else are we going to cover today on today's podcast today?
Well, Russ, this report every single month is a winner. Like, everybody looks forward to this. We see the download numbers. They go through the roof on these particular episodes. But you know what I think the reason is something that you've said. It's the redneck saying that we always repeat, is we eat our own cooking. What does that mean, Russ? That means we're actually willing to do what we say for others to do, we're doing ourselves. This is our way of saying, hey, we're on the path to financial freedom with you. And look what we're doing, because we're taking our own medicine.
Yeah.
Well, it reminds me of when I was in high school. I'd watched my mom cook a bunch. And I said, you know what? This is so easy. I'm going to make some macaroni and cheese on my own. Like, just one night, I think I was solo at the house. And I was like, I'm just going to make some macaroni and cheese. I'm talking about like the Kraft, the blue box, right?
With like the little aluminum foil bag.
Yeah, with the powdered cheese-like substance.
Yep.
So I'm sitting there. I'm making the macaroni and cheese. I'm following the directions at least I think I'm following the directions. But do you know that you're actually supposed to drain the noodles after you boiled them?
You're supposed to get the water out of there?
Yeah, you got to take the water out.
Yeah.
Before you add the milk and the cheese-like substance.
Why wouldn't they put that on the box?
They did, but I happened to miss that one specific detail. And I ended up thinking, well, eventually the liquid will just burn off. Like, it'll cook off.
Yeah.
It never did. And I ended up eating my own cooking. It was...
You had a pasta cereal bowl.
My macaroni soup. So... Anyway, that's what we're talking about today. No, that's nothing like what we're talking about today, but we are eating our own cooking.
All right. We're going to come back after the break. So if you're interested, in the month of November, our passive income. We brought in over $65,000 in income. We had a little over $18,000 in monthly expenses to make that happen. So we netted $47,000. So you want to know why we were 7% down. We'll talk a little bit about that and more right after this.
You love how slow I am.
No worries. Okay, tribe. Let's break down this report. I want to talk about a couple of questions that you've asked us. So one of the first questions you ask is, looking at your report right now, you guys have brought in, a net $47,000 for the year, over $500,000 in income this year. Are you guys reinvesting that? How do you decide when you take the passive income versus taking profits?
Well, I think this is very specific to you, right? As you're on your own financial freedom journey, you have certain variables that other people don't have. That's why when you work with one of our coaches, you're putting together a comprehensive plan for you, because you may have a much quicker time frame that you're trying to be free of that 9 to 5. In Russ and I's case, this is something we're doing off to the side. Our active income is not reported here in any way, shape, or form. It's more than enough of what we need to cover our expenses every month. And so this is just off to the side. So largely, depending on the investment type that allows for reinvestment, we're reinvesting. If it's so good, why wouldn't we keep putting those profits back into it to continue to expand it? And the specific one that I want to talk about is in the land business, because every single month that thing is kicking off. For instance, this month, $32,265 in income. Well, that goes right back into the bank account to buy that much more property. And the reason is because we've kind of done the backwards math. And maybe you can speak to this, Russ, on when does it actually make sense for us to start taking distributions from that? And what's the number in mind?
Well, this is arbitrary, right? For us, because we don't need the money, we are decided that, once we get to a point where we could take off $50,000 a month off of this and it not go down, that's what we need to do. So we've kind of
not kill the golden goose.
Right. Well, I mean, we did that podcast, right, on Jack and the Beanstalk.
Yeah.
I thought that was a pretty good podcast. If you didn't listen to it, you got to go back.
If you don't say so yourself.
It was good. It was really good. And we talked about what the golden goose analogy is, right? You got to have a golden goose that's producing the golden eggs. But the problem is you can't kill the goose, right? Like, I know this is a Christmas season as we're recording this, and Christmas story, they go to a Chinese place and they kill the goose. Well, we don't want to kill the golden goose, right? You want that passive income to keep coming. And so for us, we're like, let's just get it up to about $50,000 a month that we could pull off. And so we believe we need to have the net somewhere closer to $100,000 so that we could do that. So we can reinvest $50,000 a month. That would allow us every single month to then keep 50 grand coming off. So
think about it this way, because a lot of you have actually even started a land business yourself through thelandgeek.com, our friends there, Mark Podolsky and team. And I think it's actually pretty decent rule of thumb that if you have 50% of whatever you've built in monthly note income that you could take as an income and the rest of it go back into business development or buying additional property to continue to maintain, that's really kind of the sweet spot. Now, yours could be a little different, but just as a rule of thumb, that may give you a little bit more insight.
And here's the thing is that, the goal is financial freedom is when your passive income exceeds your monthly expenses. If you don't know where you are on that process, we actually built a quiz and it can kind of give you an insight. If you go to wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/quiz, you can kind of get a score as to how close you are to that number. And if you need more insight, our team actually will jump on a 15-minute call and walk you through a process that can help you understand what's the right next thing for you to do after that to make sure that you're getting there faster. Joey, what was the second question that we got that we want to make sure we address?
Well, if you've been watching this for any length of time, this is not an uncommon question. People have noticed that we haven't posted about the mobile home park investment we made and the ATM fund. So the question is, what's going on there? What are your thoughts?
Well, the ATM fund is one of those things where we are learning more throughout every single month. We had invested through a capital raiser into a project, and the underlying operator had quit paying back in, was it March, April, somewhere in there.
around there, yeah.
And the initial story that came out was, I had a cash crunch because I bought a big network of ATM machines. I thought I was going to get bank financing. That fell through. So I need to delay payments, moving from monthly to quarterly so that I can bridge that gap. Time went on. They missed some dates. They missed some more dates. They missed more dates. Ultimately, this thing has gone to the court system, and we're trying our best to learn, through the person who's trying to take back control for us, the investors, that maybe this has unfortunately not been as good. Maybe they've been selling off some of these ATMs. Maybe they'll have quite the ATMs they said they did. All this stuff is still to be determined, but needless to say, no income yet, and don't know when we will get income, Stallion. What about on the mobile home park?
Let me just add to that. So as you're considering investing in things, let me just tell you, there's all these things that pointed to this is a good investment, because historically, probably 4 or 5 years before we ever invested, people were consistently month in, month out getting investments back. They were getting these distributions. Well, we've received them for almost 4 years after having done the investment. And now it's going into a position where it's at least a partial Ponzi scheme, is what we're being told, that there's not the amount of machines actually producing that were originally told. So the learning from this, as I would think about it, is number one, how close are you to the operator? The investment itself. There's layers and levels of connection from you to the investment. And there's a reason that we have not ever said, hey, invest with us. We're going to go and do this thing, and we want you to invest with us, because we're not the operator. We weren't direct to those people. Can you imagine, Russ, if we said, hey, we're going to raise money for this ATM fund, and we didn't know what we know now?
This would be a miserable. I mean, I feel bad that we're losing money in this deal. I can't even imagine what I would have felt like had we had raised money for this thing and people were losing money right now. Like, I wouldn't be able to sleep.
Well,
it'd be bad.
And so let me just tell you this. This is just to be honest with you. Now we are getting the opportunity for you to invest in us, not with us, because we still don't want to take on that sort of risk. But our company is growing at a massive rate right now. And if you want to invest in us, you can do so through our fund that we just launched. If you want more information and you're an accredited investor, go to email info@wealthwithoutwallstreet.com and put in the subject line accredited, so our team can get you all the details of how to get paid monthly passive income from an existing business that we own and operate, and feel 100% confident that we can come through on paying you.
Well, here's the key, is that the goal to financial freedom is what? Is when your passive income exceeds your monthly expenses. So if you have not started that journey, you are an accredited investor, you're looking to get that first, $800 a month coming in cash flow. We've built a model through the acquisition of businesses that are cash flowing that we do operate. We've already operated. We've been doing it. We're a skilled operator for the last 15, 20 years now. We are actually acquiring those businesses, putting them underneath our brand. We're going to not only be cash flowing those brand new businesses that have been in existence for a long time, but also we know we can pay the distributions, because at the worst case scenario, it comes out of the profits of our existing business. So if you're looking for a way to create cash flow in 2025, you're tired of trying to look and figure out which one of these syndications should you invest in. Maybe some of them have not panned out. You don't want to wait for the multiple, year 3, year 4, year 5, hoping that it happens while getting 4 or 5% returns on your money between now and then. We actually have an offering that we're giving to our accredited investors, people who are in our community, to, as Joey said, to invest in us. So email info@wealthwithoutwallstreet.com / and then put in the subject line accredited, and our team will send you details, and happy to jump on a call with you and give you more information around that. All right. But going back to the second question, Stallion, part of this was why, what's happened to this mobile home park investment? You guys were putting, like $600 something a month on there every single month, and now it's a blank.
Well, so this is, anytime you're involved in a syndication, you're not buying an investment, you're buying into a business, right? And if you don't know what the business model is, you should not invest in it. If you understand the business model, you should also understand what are the possible threats to that business model, right? Russ and I are actually sitting down this week doing a SWOT analysis of our business. What's the strengths? What's the weaknesses? What's the opportunities? And what are the threats? If you're not doing that within the confines of whatever syndication you're doing, then you're potentially leaving yourself out to dry. And in this case, this mobile home park is a known operator, has done lots of great things in the mobile home space, but there's always potential and variables at play. In this case, the Helene, the hurricane system that came through affected South Carolina, which is the area where this geographically is located. And through that, they were directly affected, but also indirectly affected by the fact that they recognize, man, we don't have as much in reserves as we should in order to be prepared for something like this. Some people would call this almost like a black swan event, but they realized they did not have enough in reserves. And so they have halted distributions in the mindset that we need to go ahead and kind of buffer that up. The unfortunate thing is we have no real clarity on when that will be enough. What's the time frame? And so as investors, we're sitting here waiting. And that's not a good place to be, especially when you're trying to bank on building passive income greater than monthly expenses. It's, unfortunate we don't have that to go off of.
Well, and this is a great thing when people, you've asked this before, you've seen us sometimes wear these shirts that say 200%, or we've talked about our passive income mastermind. That objective is to get to 200% passive income to monthly expenses. And you say, well, but why? This is a great example. If you're living off the passive income and dependent upon it, that's how you pay your monthly expenses. You have now gotten rid of your day job. You no longer have active employment. You need certainty that that money's coming, right? I mean, IBC is great to have that reserve and backup, but you need certainty. That's the only way you truly have freedom. Well, we want to make sure that we're twice as good, right? Like, so in this example, if we were living on this money, we would want, like, while the ATM stopped paying, the mobile home park stopped paying, that would be just a portion of that additional 100%. We would have never stopped working with just 100%. We would have kept going till we got to a point where we felt a comfortable margin where we were not subject to when things go bad. We know things will go bad. It's, there's good and bad news based upon your situation. So we always have to be preparing ourselves, become better investors, hopefully not have this happen, but it do happen. And the longer you're investing, the more you'll recognize this. But also, I think it'll help you become better investors as time goes on. All right, third question that you've asked us is, what are some new passive income streams you're testing or planning to add into the future?
So I'm excited that I have been getting a cardboard box on my doorstep for at least 2 or 3 times a day for the last week, full of all the materials that are going into our vending machines, all the candy, all the gummy bears and the pirate's booty. I mean, you name it. We have been buying it and getting it prepared for our first vending machine to be delivered in the next week or 2. And once that goes live, we're going to learn a lot. We've already learned a lot, right? How long it takes to get your machine, how long it takes to build out like the AI kind of planogram behind the scenes. I mean, you know better than I, but man, even just researching how much products cost, they can vary wildly from Walmart.com to Costco.com to all these places where you're trying to get your products. Man, you could get really massive different in your margins just based on where you buy the stuff. So
yeah, if you have not already listened to one of the 2 episodes that we have live right now with Mike Hoffman, I encourage you to go. You can go to what'swhatwallstreet.com/vending and get more details. This is not a passive strategy, right? Like, for those of you who are just looking to invest, this is not it, right? If you're looking to get involved, maybe you don't have a ton of capital right now to get started and you're looking for an easier barrier of entry, right? For $5 grand, $6 grand, you can buy a machine. obviously you need to learn the process, and Mike and their team has a course. They have a process that you can follow. We've been following it. We paid for that course, by the way.
Yeah.
Our daughters have gone through it. Joey and I are trying to figure out how we can get our kids interested in building passive income, so it's really more for them. I do want to scale it, right? I do want to get it to a point where it makes enough money where we all make some spending, some folding cash, as my dad would have said, right? But if you're interested in getting that first dollar coming in, and you're okay putting a little time in, this may be your thing. Go to what'swaltwallstreet.com/vending. Stallion, there's another thing that you're adding on to, something that I totally have sworn off, and that is the Turo space. You want to talk more about that?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what has kind of caught fire for me is I just kind of dipped my toe in the water last year by taking an old minivan we were upgrading anyway. And I made the decision. I was like, hey, I can either sell this right now for probably $13,000, something like that, or I can put it on Turo with one of a local operator, somebody who's already got a fleet of 30 to 40 cars. He can just put it in his fleet, manage all the day-to-day communications, maintenance, everything else. And I pay him a fee every month for that. Through that, this one vehicle, now this month is pretty bad. It's only $25 net on this particular vehicle, but consistently has made around $600 a month net after fees and everything.
Why only $25? What happened this month?
Well, this month we had to do breaks, and this month is always historically a low month, right? November, December, January, February. This is the season where it doesn't get rented as much. And I had about $400 fee for getting the brakes redone, which that's coming. You just don't know when. And so anyways, but historically it's been running very well. And I can still turn around once it has made its life on Turo come to an end. I can still sell it because it's been massively depreciated. And I learned this, really kind of caught fire when we met Aubrey Janik on our show. If you didn't hear that episode, go back and listen to it. In fact, you can get access at wealthofthatwallstreet.com/cars. And she has a course that has taught me so much about if you buy right. And in her case, she's talking about buying $5,000 to $7,000 cars that have less than 130,000 miles, that have at least 12 years or 12 years old or younger. This is what fits in the Turo box. And you can do this with economy cars. So I'm in the process right now. In fact, I just negotiated on the way over here, Russ, that I'm going to buy 2 Nissans, a Sentra and a Versa, that are 2018, 2019. And they were originally like 19,000 together. I'm going to get them for 16. And we just did the math. If these things can produce $400 a month each, net after paying fees and taxes and everything else, and I can turn around and sell them for $3,000 in 4 years. Is it 4 years or 3 years?
4 years.
4 years. Then the return on these will be up over 50% for the cash on cash return. That to me, along with it being completely passive, because I'm literally doing nothing, they're just managing the whole process. This to me is a strategy that I want to put some emphasis on in the new year. And so I'll be reporting back to you on how that works based on the success of these 2 new cars.
Yeah. So you talked about 2 different types of cars. All I can think of is the 2 different types of weed somebody's going to smoke in them. So ChatGPT tells me it could be sativa, known for its uplifting and energizing effects, or indica, which is also associated with relaxant and sedative effects. So, I mean, hey, you should talk to them about that and see if that's an option, an upgrade for your car.
Hey, I'll let you know how that goes.
If you're listening for the first time, I own a car on Turo. I did not do it the way Joey did it. And all I could do is go clean a car full of weed smoke every single time. So that is not a strategy that I will be employing in 2025. And gratefully so. Looking at, what is one of the expenses, one of the issues that we've had in this past, year. That was a question you guys asked. Hey, what are some of the things that, you look back, you see things that didn't necessarily go right, or expense that didn't, came up from this month. I'm going to go to our Bitcoin mining fund.
Yeah.
This is one of those where we continue to get, educated through lessons learned. And as we've dug deeper into this fund that we invested in 2.5 years ago, which, we invested based upon experience in a similar item where we had personal computers that were mining with this operator. I think we had 25 or 30 at one time. It was printing money, Tribe. Like literally, Joey and I thought we were the smartest ever. We were making like $3,000 to $4,000 a month a piece in cryptocurrency getting added to our account, and we had put very little money. I think we had like $100,000 or something there, and it couldn't be going any better until they decided, you can no longer, get paid for mining Ethereum. Like, that's no problem. We can mine Bitcoin, right? Like that. Yeah. That'd be really good. And instead of,
much better.
Instead of, doing little personal computers on ourselves, what if we got into like a $2 million fund with a group of like 10 investors? We put a couple $100,000 in, and we do this at scale. And man, we are looking at an opportunity to take this couple $100,000 investment and 5x it over like a 4-year period of time. All makes sense. And Tribe, as we sit here today, this has been one of the most underperforming assets that we've had on our passive income report, obviously minus 100 unicorns, which is thankfully always riding in the dumps. But part of this is that there was, to your point earlier, Joe, there's way more things about this business that we didn't understand, way more variables that we were not aware of. We obviously knew that the price of Bitcoin could vary. We assumed to some degree the other things were pretty steady. Like this operator knows what the cost of electricity is, knows kind of what the hash rate is. If you guys even know what that is, Google it and then tell Joey about it. But like these things we assume were, known commodities. And as we're now looking through the actual profit and loss statement for this business as compared to the projected, we're like 1/10 of what we assumed it would be. And this is a bad position where, I don't know when these computers will officially crap out, but I know that they won't get to the point where how much money we have in our Bitcoin account will equal what we invested by far.
Well, and you think about it, you look back at what 2020 vision, had we just used the money that we put into the fund to buy the actual end result, the actual Bitcoin itself, we would be, dwarfing the amount we have now.
We'd have about 2.5 times what we invested. That was the case. But people say, well, guys, why didn't you do that?
Well, you think you're doing better by actually mining the official cryptocurrency through very efficient means. Well, these are known operators. They've been doing this for years and years.
Well, yeah,
it makes sense.
It was almost kind of like, hey, by mining it, we have an ability to gain more of it at a cheaper price.
Yes.
And we can continue to produce it versus pay for it once, hope it goes up, right? Like you actually get the benefit of it going up. But even there were scenarios where the price went down, we still won. So there was lots of these different options to where on paper, I just want you to know, on paper, you've never seen a bad investment opportunity. It's in reality what the paper looks like after they report it to you is where you get to decide whether or not it's good or bad.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I hope that this has been helpful to you. Month in, month out, we want to report this to keep ourselves accountable, to continue to encourage you and expose you to new ideas, and also just to share what's winning and what's losing. But your investor DNA is ultimately going to dictate what your winners and losers are for you. And if you haven't already stepped into the process of building your own passive income operating system, whereby you create a perpetual machine that gets you to financial freedom in line with your direct investor DNA, which you get throughout that process, you have an action step to take today. Go to wealth.wallstreet.com/free call and get on a call with one of these coaches that can help you to build exactly what we're talking about.
All right, Tribe. Merry Christmas to you. Happy New Year. And let's make 2025 the best year ever. Have an amazing day.